All right, here we go. Hey, yo, what it is and what's good, y'all? Welcome back to 280 Plus, the social media podcast where I take the conversations off the timeline and go beyond the posts. I'm your host, Low Steph, and I'm back here for episode 221 of the platform. 221 of the platform. Shout out to all the viewers. If you're a returning viewer, please, make sure you show me some love. Make sure you leave a comment below. Make sure you share the content with somebody. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Welcome to the channel. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things. But if you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you can keep up to date with what we got going on here on the platform. But also, too, if you want to join that conversation, leave a comment below, share the content, do all those good things, man. So we're coming right back with episode 221. And I told y'all that I was gonna be on my job right now because partly it's Levi. Levi is helping to motivate me, and also the football season's over. My football season's over. You know, my Packers are out. So, I ain't gonna lie. I was dealing with some losses in the last couple weeks, and I told y'all, man, I was a little bit sad, and I just didn't really want to post too much content. It was just a lot, man. Especially when you try to cover football a little bit and your teams lose and then you just like lamenting on those losses. You don't want to do that. So this week we got a lot more stuff. We are going to cover some football, but we got a lot more things to talk about other than football. We got an action-packed episode this week. We're going to be talking about AI and the fun parts of AI, some things that I've seen that are like kind of cool with AI recently, but also we're going to talk about AI and society and how it could be affecting our future generations, especially as they're trying to get jobs. All right, cool article that I found about that. We got some headlines. One headline is a surprise headline, and I just learned about this. This was something that just was posted maybe 25 minutes ago. So I'm gonna present it, but that's gonna be something that we had to talk about probably in more depth later in the future. But another headline. We got Kanye. We got some Kanye news. We're going to talk about, we are going to get into, I'm going to try to make sure we have enough time to get into the mess that we did not talk about last week. All right. So we will get into the mess. What else do we have? We are going to talk about football, some of the hirings, some of the hirings. We're going to talk about the playoffs, but also we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame and how one historical figure was left off the ballot. All right, was left off the ballot, and I don't think he's going to be a finalist that's going to be selected come February. And then yeah, I do have internet beef that I want to talk about, and just about just the internet in general and how internet debating, right? Like internet debates and stuff like that, and how beefs and internet debates can go too far. And like we have a really good example of that recently with a comedian named Corey Holcomb and then a YouTube content creator that goes by the name of Anton Daniel. So we'll talk about that a little bit. I'll give you guys some background if you never heard of any of these people. We'll talk about that and also like kind of what has kind of transpired in that, but also I'll give my own takes of like just the interactions that I've had on the internet that have made me want to crash out and like how do you deal with it, and I wonder how other people deal with it, but like I'll tell you how I kind of deal with it, and it kind of you might roll your eyes and you might be like, oh, that's what you do, but yeah, nah, sometimes you gotta keep your peace, man. You gotta keep your sanity. So, real quick though, I did want to give you a personal update. I have been tracking my food and things like that, and it's been going well. It's been going well. Shout out to my cousin again, Fit Farron or Farron Fit, and my cousin Amir, Philadelphia firefighter. He's just killing it, man. When I seen him, I told y'all at my Uncle Richie's funeral, it was just good to kind of, I don't want to say get that validation, but get that stamp of approval, and because he's all about tracking, like he's been doing it, and it was like, and I wish that's somebody that I probably should just have on the show, up in the upcoming future for real. Because he just talks about like how his transformation, but then once he got into tracking that's what changed the game. And my thing with tracking though is also understanding that if you get in this mindset that's like, yo, you're not gonna get changes overnight, right? Like because however you are in your whatever form you're in right now in terms of your body and your body composition and your physique, right? So, as much as like sometimes people, they get on diets or they get on fitness plans or they get on workout plans, and sometimes people give up because they're not seeing the results. But if you get out of that mindset and understand that like time out. This don't take overnight. It didn't take over. It wasn't an overnight thing for me to get to this point to where I might be not so satisfied with my body. It didn't. It didn't. It didn't take. It wasn't an overnight thing for you to get the current body that you have. So it's not gonna be an overnight thing to get the body that you desire, right? So that's one thing that I'm realizing as well, but also like I've embraced that too. Like it is a journey, but tracking is crazy because yeah, you really learn so much about food. You learn about your own habits and things. And right now, I'm not on any type of like diet, for example. Like I'm not on a keto diet or high protein diet necessarily. I went for a more balanced approach, but like it's still revealing as to like how much like there's fat in everything. There's like so much fat in a lot of the stuff that even like in good stuff. So and sometimes a high fat diet is not bad either. But I noticed though I don't eat a lot of like I know carbs be something that be killing people, but I don't eat a lot of carbs. I've cut down on a lot of snacks though. But the snacks that I do be eating be high in fat, like like when I eat like almonds and stuff like that. Like, and so like you gotta be mindful. But like um, I've been under, like I've because I got a Fitbit too. I got a Fitbit, and that's new to me. I never had a Fitbit, and just tracking my movement, tracking what I'm eating. It gets more important to track your eating when you know you're not gonna be that active, and I'm just like paying attention to all that type of stuff, and it's been fun. It's been interesting, and it makes you make good decisions, like especially if you're honest with it. Like I'm honest with it. Like I track even when I use a pack of sugar, a packet of sugar or something like that in a coffee. Like I'm tracking all that because it all matters. And it's interesting too though, like when you are working out, it gives you extra calories, but even my cousin was like, nah, like you don't have to eat those extra calories. Like even though it's giving it to you, just understand that like nah, you still want to be in a deficit. And then so I do have a Fitbit. And then I was even asking, I'm like, cause you don't unless you have some type of tracker on you, you don't know how many calories you're actually burning. Because that's this idea, like, oh no, weight loss is about calories in versus calories out, right? And making sure that you have a deficit of your output outweighs what you're eating and stuff like that. But like, how do you know how many calories you burn? Well, you have a Fitbit, and then I had to ask my cousin. I'm like, yo, is this accurate? Because like sometimes it'll be like, yo, I burned 4,000 calories. I'm like, how? Like I did a workout, whatever, but not on that. Just on that workout did I burn those calories. I burn those calories just like in just my movements and things like that. But he said that and I even read this that like there can be like up to like a 20% difference, right? So I always take that in consideration. I look and I'll be like, all right, and then I'll subtract that 20% from what it says, but then I still see like, oh, I'm still in a deficit, so I'm still good. So it's been a journey, man. And real quick, you ever get a random compliment and you don't know how to take it, like, I mean, or like you get a random compliment that's not really a compliment, and you just be like, yo, next time you get a random compliment, yo, check that person, bro. Like Monet the other day, bro, she gonna be like, cause I got a Fitbit. She gonna say that Fitbit looks so good on you. And then I was like, first I was like, you flattered as a guy because you don't get compliments like that. So I was flattered. I was like, oh yeah. And then I was like, what? What girl? What is you talking about? Like, she's like, it looks good on you, that Fitbit. And I was like, girl, get out of my face. Like, get out of here with that weak ass compliment. Like, what are you talking about? The Fitbit, it's just a black little band. Like, she's like, well, you don't really wear watches and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, but like this ain't fly. Like, yeah, I mean, it's on my wrist, but it ain't nothing. It ain't fire. You know what I'm saying? It's a Fitbit. Like, all right, whatever. So that's funny though. But like I said, tracking has been pretty good so far. But I'm here for the journey, man. I'm here for the journey, and I'm going through with it. And we gonna see, man. We gonna go for the long haul, man. I'm hopefully. I stick. I'm planning to stick with it. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But it's it can be a task sometimes. I like tracking, especially if I can scan the barcodes. The only time it gets tricky is like if I have a dish that's like prepared for me and I don't exactly know all the ingredients and stuff like that. Sometimes that gets confusing, and you could take a picture, and it'd be wrong sometimes. Like if they try to scan your meal and you just off a picture because they don't see all the ingredients. But then I try to add ingredients as I go, but like it's just eye opening. So I do recommend like if not for everybody, because I don't. That's the one thing. That's my struggle right now. It's not a struggle, but this is one thing I'm cognizant about is that everybody's not on your journey, right? Everybody's not on my journey. So like I try not to be that type of person. Like I'll talk about like the importance of calories, or I talk about how surprised I am or how much calories is in something. But what I try my best not to do is to make other people feel bad about their own choices when it comes to food, because at this point like everybody's not I wasn't worried about that a couple weeks ago. So like who am I to just be out in here judging and making oh, you shouldn't eat that, you shouldn't eat this, whatever. I shouldn't eat this because of XYZ, because I have these certain goals. And then also understanding that like food is neither good nor bad, right? Like food just serves different purposes, because there's some people that want to gain weight, right? And like, yeah, then they kind of, if you're a weight gainer, like you kind of got the pick of the litter, man. Like, granted, you want to work out, you might want to hit your macros in a certain way, right? You might want to be more protein or more carbs, more fat, right? For whatever it is. But if you're trying to gain weight, bro, you can eat anything. Like you got the pick of the litter. You know what I mean, for lack of a better term. But yeah, you get to kind of do whatever. It's the people that's trying to like cut and be in a deficit that, yeah, you have to be mindful, and you be like, damn, I gotta stop eating this kind of food, or I gotta lay off of this, or I gotta I gotta think of an alternative for this. And that's what we've been doing. We've been trying to think about alternatives, and like skipping stuff. Like I had like a taco bowl the one day, and I was like, nah, no sour cream, man. I don't need no more fat right now. So like, yeah, I mean, just hitting it with hot sauce, because I know hot sauce is like 0 calories. So it's been interesting. It's been eye opening, but it's a dope journey though, man. And again, I'm here for the results, but I'm confident. I'm confident in results, but also understand I gotta stick with it though. So let me know in the comments, man, if you ever fitness tracked, and what are some, just some tips for people, man. So what are some do's and don'ts? And yeah, man, we could talk about it maybe on the next episode, man. We could share some of your input though. So, but yeah, let's move on, man. Let's move on. So, all right. So, my first topic, first thing we're gonna talk about is just AI, right? And how um AI right now. I don't know about you guys, but my new favorite genre of IG video currently are these animated AI videos, like that basically give you like basic household like tips and life advice and things like that, right? It could be things about cleaning, it could be things about like food itself, it could be things about like health, but like, and I seen somebody make a post or whatever, and they're like, yo, why is my algorithm filled with vegetables that's yelling at me, right? And so that's an example of something like it'll be a vegetable on the screen, and it's some AI created video, and basically like it's like how to store like fruit, or how to store this, or how to store that. The ones with health are kind of getting crazy, because there's one I seen this one where they used the eggplant, right? And the eggplant was used to kind of talk about like the male form, right? You know what I'm saying? The male phallus. and it was telling us like some health things about you, but it was using the eggplant. But then I seen the one where it looked like a uterus, I guess, whatever, and like it was like a very diagramical thing, and it was talking about how like it's self clean, like it was getting into all that, and I was like, what the hell? And this is some of this information is stuff that we've probably heard in the past, but like it's crazy how when you switch like the medium in which something is presented, like you make some animated, how that can like stay in your head and how that can like really impact you, like maybe positively, but also just keeps you engaged and wanting you to watch more. And like, it's just interesting what AI can kind of accomplish. But I do have an example of a video I'm gonna share with y'all. And it's just crazy, bro. Like all these videos that I've been seeing, it's just kind of crazy. Let me see. I don't know. My Zoom has been acting weird with like sharing stuff and like clicking on extra buttons and stuff like that, and how it's affecting us in society, or it can affect us in society. So here it goes. It says, "You finally found a page dedicated to explaining everything." So like, I don't necessarily know if I'm watching the same channel or same videos, but like this is just cool, man. So this is like AI video on like household like tips and things to like make your life easier. But like, let's check it out.
Pot lid. You think I'm just for cooking? Wrong. Wrap me in a cloth and I become a steam cleaner. I eat couch dirt for lunch. I am shaving cream. Stop wiping the fog. Smear me on the glass. I create a shield that steam can't touch. Crystal clear, always.
I am an ice cube. Carpet dent? Relax. I melt, and these fibers bounce back up. Magic.
I am a dryer sheet. Your baseboards are dusty. Don't use a cloth. Swipe me instead. I grab dust and keep it away for months. Genius. I am a denture tablet. Burnt your pan? I don't care. Drop me in hot water. I fizz and destroy that black crust instantly. No scrubbing. I am baking soda. You think I'm just for cookies? Wrong. Your washer smells like old socks. I kill that odor instantly. Use me. I am your...
Nah, that's fire. That's fire. The one that like really, yeah, I mean that pot lid thing kind of took me off guard, but it was the denture tablet was kind of wild because I didn't, I don't know anybody that I do know old people that got dentures, but like that's one thing that old people don't talk about their dentures. You know what I'm saying? There used to be mad commercials when I was a kid, like fix a dent and stuff like that. I don't see no denture commercials no more. Knowing damn well that a lot of people got fake teeth nowadays, the veneers and all that. But and I got my dad has like partials and stuff like that, but he don't talk about like what he uses to clean it. But just think about like stuff like that, like you can use that to like clean some burnt looking pot that to get it back. The dryer sheet thing, that was interesting to me too, because it was like it's not only do you use that, but it's saying that it'll keep the dust off, and I think that's pretty interesting. But yeah, the videos all are something similar to that, right? Like it'll be like a strawberry and it'll tell you like, hey, don't just put me in the fridge, do this to me. But the only thing is that like almost all of them, all these videos, the object, whether it is like a piece of like food or it is like household, they are all somewhat yelling at you. That one that was on my screen there, it was about kidney stones and it was talking about like how to pass a kidney stone safely and stuff like that. But it was like it's crazy. So like they have it for household tips, they have it for food and food storage, they have it for like basic health like information. And the thing is though, now granted, here's the thing. The problem with it is that like how many of us will verify this information to be factual and true, right? Not many of us, right? So that could be the danger of it, where because it's engaging and it's interesting and it looks good, like how much will we kind of fact check on some of these things? Some of these things are like thinking like, no, like why would it be wrong? Like why would they be lying to us? And it's like not necessarily that they lying to y'all, but like somebody, maybe these pages have big enough following that they get money based on the views. So like that's where we got to be careful, because it's like, yo, we could just be like, we could be monetizing some platform that's giving us bad information. So that is where we got to be careful. But I think it's cool. I think it is cool. Um, but moving on to another topic in the world of AI though, right? And this one was interesting though, but it said Here we go. Working on. Here we go. It says young people are using AI to write job applications. HR is using AI to read them, and no one is getting hired. Right? Isn't that like a crazy like cyclical thing that's happening here? But this was from a page called Innovation. It says hiring for entry level and early career roles has slowed sharply as companies cut costs, pause expansion, and rely more heavily on automated hiring systems to manage risk and volume rather than speed or potential. All right. So they're using this to kind of cut corners because maybe they don't even have like HR managers anymore. Like that might be a career that's kind of getting phased out because of AI. We'll see. It says AI has changed application behavior at scale. Candidates can now submit dozens of tailored resumes in a day, which has pushed application counts per role into the hundreds or thousands. To cope, employers increasingly depend on applicant tracking systems that rank, reject, or archive resumes before any recruiter reviews them. So here's the thing. So it's yes, we figured out a way to use AI to kind of help us and to make things easier. But what's happening is, and this is why sometimes people feel like nobody's hiring. Well, it's because these recruiters and these HR directors, the hiring managers and things like that, they have been bombarded. The system is bombarding them with too many things because yeah, back in the day, like yeah, you had to take time and you had to kind of tailor your resume maybe for a particular job. But now it's just a click of a button, and so like people from all over the place can send these resumes and applications, but like there's just not an it's too much. It's flooding the system, and it's too much for an actual person to like read them from the bat. So like they're getting phased out or they're getting ranked based off of AI, right? So it says these systems prioritize keyboard matches, prior job titles, and exact experience alignment, which disadvantages recent graduates, career switchers, and non-traditional backgrounds, even when academic performance, internships, or skills are strong. In many cases, rejection happens automatically within minutes with no signal to the applicant. At the same time, competition has intensified. Layoffs, hiring freezes, and programs that push experienced workers back into the labor market have raised the bar for junior roles. With fewer openings and more applicants, networking, referrals, and direct human connections now matter more than optimized resumes alone. All right, so that's interesting. Um, because that has always been a problem. One of these things has always been a problem when it comes to getting a new job, and it's the lack of experience. And so what it's saying is that like AI is not these AI tracking systems, even if you're not doing your application via AI, these application AI application tracking systems are like are kind of like again pushing the new people to the side. If you're a new graduate or something, it's kind of pushing you to the side. I think what happens is, and I think this happens more so probably when you're doing stuff like through Indeed and things like that. Like for example, my dad is like in the process of like trying to find a new job after like 30 years, right? And now he's one of the older guys. And I know like ageism, like jobs ain't supposed to be ageist, but like it becomes dangerous the older you are and you're trying to get into a new field. And like he's been talking about all this stuff that he's been going in Indeed and how he sent his application or resume to all these places. And it was like in the number like 75, right? Now, back in the day, my dad would not have applied for 75 jobs, but also he would have probably got something after, the third or fourth attempt. But like now it's taking him a little bit longer, but also you just think about that on the other side of the scale, like for younger people, they're still facing those same things because the AI is marking it as like inexperienced or whatever it is. So what it's saying here though is that when you do get in the door, you have to be kind of very, magnetic, and you have to be charismatic, and your ability to directly talk to people and have these interviews and to be able to explain your experience and hopefully you memorize your little, even if it is an AI resume, hopefully you kind of memorize that so that you're ready to go. So obviously though, AI is definitely a tool that we should definitely embrace, but there are going to be some implications, and as many jobs as there are out there, these not all these jobs are being filled necessarily, and it could be because of some of these systems in place, right? We create a system to help deal with the bombardment and the influx, but it's not 100% foolproof. So yeah, man. So that's something, man. We gotta I think what's gonna happen is AI is gonna reach its peak, right? And we're not even nowhere near the peak, right? So just so you know, it's gonna reach its peak, and then we're gonna start going lo-fi on a lot of things. Right, we're gonna start reverting back to like basic things, like even in schools. Like, yes, AI is here, technology is here, but like you're gonna see teachers start to move more lo-fi and do things more with paper and pencil again, right? You're gonna start seeing paper applications again. They're gonna want to see you instead of just sending it digitally. Like you might stand out if you have a little resume with a cover holder and stuff like that. So it's just things to think about, man. We got to teach our kids. We have to teach our kids how to use the technology, but we also have to teach them the analog forms as well, because it might come in handy. It's almost like when you throw out your old clothes, and then a style comes back, right? Like that's kind of what's happening in with AI and the job market. It seems that like certain methods are coming back, and we gotta like kind of hang tight a little bit, just so we're not falling behind. But good topic, good topic. What do you think? What do you think? Leave a comment below on what we talking about when it comes to AI. All right. I have a headline here. And this is crazy because I didn't even initially save this like article. I kind of just sent it to a mental health professional. I kind of wanted their opinion on it. But it appears that Kanye, and I know this sounds insensitive, but it appears that Kanye must have an album out because Kanye's talking. Kanye doesn't really talk until he has a project to give us, right? So he wrote an open letter to black people, to black fans. He's thanking the black community in this open letter. So it says and this headline from Ball Alert says Ye says undiagnosed brain injury fueled past outbursts. Thanks black community in open letter. All right. So let's see here. Says Ye has taken a serious and unexpected step towards making amends, purchasing a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal to share an open letter that's being called his most sincere moment in years. All right, so let's hear it. Says moving away from the cryptic social media posts we've seen in the past, Ye is finally connecting the dots between his public behavior and a medical crisis that started decades ago. In his open letter, he revealed that in the 2002 car accident that famously broke his jaw, also caused an injury to his right frontal lobe that went unnoticed for 20 years. The deeper injury, the one inside my skull, went unnoticed, he shared, explaining that this medical oversight wasn't properly diagnosed until 2023 and played a massive role in his struggle with bipolar type 1. Once people label you crazy, you feel as if you cannot contribute anything meaningful to the world, he wrote, noting that the life expectancy for those with the disorder is significantly shortened. Unlike his 2023 Hebrew apology, which many felt was a quick fix, this letter dives into the terrifying reality of mania. He described a 4-month episode in early 2025 where he lost his grip entirely, admitting as the situation became increasingly unsustainable, there were times I didn't want to be here anymore. Ye was direct about the damage he caused, admitting he gravitated towards the most destructive symbol I could find. During a fractured state, I regret and I am deeply mortified by my actions in that state, he wrote, while clarifying, I am not a Nazi or an anti Semite. I love Jewish people. However, a major part of this letter was dedicated to the people who have stayed in his corner through it all. the black community. So that we can actually, that's just kind of overview. We can try to read some of this. This is pretty long though, so we'll see what we can get through. It says, to those I've hurt. Here we go. We'll read like a couple paragraphs. It says 25 years ago, I was in a car accident that broke my jaw and caused injury to the right frontal lobe of my brain. At the time, the focus was on the visible damage, the fracture, the swelling, the immediate physical trauma. The deeper injury, the one inside my skull, went unnoticed. Comprehensive scans were not done, neurological exams were limited, and the possibility of a frontal lobe injury was never raised. It wasn't properly diagnosed until 2023. That medical oversight caused serious damage to my mental health and led to my bipolar type 1 diagnosis. Bipolar disorder comes with its own defense system, denial. When you're manic, you don't think you're sick. You think everyone else is overreacting. You feel like you're seeing the world more clearly than ever, when in reality, you're losing your grip entirely. Once people label you crazy, you feel as though you cannot contribute to anything meaningful to the world. It's easy for people to joke and laugh it off, when in fact it is a very serious, debilitating disease you can die from. According to the World Health Organization and Cambridge universities, people with bipolar disorder have a life expectancy that is shortened by 10 to 15 years on average, and a 2 to 3 times higher all-cause mortality rate than the general population. This is on par with severe heart disease, type 1 diabetes, HIV, cancer, and all lethal and fatal if left untreated. All right. So he kind of gets into a lot of this. I'm gonna just say the last part, to the black community, which held me down through all the highs and the lows and the darkest of times. The black community is unquestionably the foundation of who I am. I'm so sorry to have let you down. I love us. In early 2025, I fell into a 4 month long manic episode of psychotic, paranoid, and impulsive behavior that destroyed my life. As the situation became increasingly unsustainable, there were times I didn't want to be here anymore. That's interesting. That's interesting. It's no shade to Kanye, man. No shade to Kanye. Um, I had to read. I'll read it. Like I had to like kind of diagnose it or like kind of dig into it a little bit more. But yeah, it kind of it makes sense. It makes sense. A lot of people. I think what we did was, just even as fans, um, I don't think because he didn't talk about the car accident other than in the song, right? So we did ignore, like at least the public did. We did ignore the accident, but I think a lot of us felt like he had a break when his mother died. I think that's what most people kind of cite, that was when, because that's when we started to see the real change. I think I think maybe having his mother around was like his saving grace a little bit. That was his sanity. And so it felt like when his mom died, that's when he lost all of it, right? But no, it makes perfect sense that something, and that's called a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. It does make sense that that could happen, but it just felt like for a long time, and maybe he was going through manic episodes, but it just felt like a long time that, like, not only was, and I think it's some of it is our, I would say we got to put some of the onus on us as fans as well, right? Because and maybe not you personally, but like think about the Kanye stance. There were so many times where we felt and we saw his actions and we knew that something had to be off with him because he was never talking the way he was talking in the past, right? Like, yeah, provocative, George Bush don't like black people, like, yeah, provocative, but like never going on some of the rants that he would go on. And yeah, some people blamed his relationship with Kim, some people blame this, they blame that, but it was definitely the injury, but also I think a lot of us just kind of chalked it to like, yeah, this is when once Donda died, like something inside him died and like he didn't know how to handle it. But I think some of the onus has to go on the fans because there's so many times when people would say like yo, he having some type of episode. Somebody need to check on him. It would be so many like Kanye stands that would just be like, oh, y'all just don't understand him. Like y'all just don't understand. He's a genius. Y'all don't even understand. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. And like you don't think that Kanye read that type of stuff and like used that as validation, right? Especially if he was in a if he was during like a manic episode. You don't think that that stuff validated him when people would when nobody was when as much scrutiny as he would get when he would get praise or he would just get like excuses. You don't think that that kind of played a role into it as well? So like yes, we can talk about the doctors and maybe some misdiagnosis. You know what I mean? But there could have been times where they was talking about this, and then like he was just on some like, nah, I ain't trying, ain't nobody trying to hear that because I don't know, like we didn't. I was young, like in 2002, in 2002, I'm 14 years old. So like, yeah, you know about depression, you know about certain disorders and stuff like that, but you don't really know about the brain when you're that young. You don't know, you don't have all that information. And obviously we know in the last like 10 years, the proliferation of mental health and the importance of mental health has been on the forefront. But if you think about in the last 10 years, that's when yeah, we definitely seen some of his wildest moments, right? Especially if you're talking politically, and things like that. Like the 180 to go from George Bush doesn't like black people to being a Trump supporter is like even that's all that I mean. One, he was somebody for social justice, and then to kind of be a part of the machine, the oppressive machine, as you will that had to be a sign there as well. So I don't know, man. I think he definitely has something coming out though. You know what I mean? And um I don't know. Maybe I'll look. I'll. It was only like I missed like probably like two or three paragraphs in the middle that I didn't read just because it was getting a little long. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I don't speak for the whole black community. You know what I mean? I'm one individual, and I'm on the side of like, let's just see, man. Let's just see. But do you if you're part of the black community, do you accept his apology? Does he need to apologize? Some people might feel like he don't need to apologize. I don't know. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Let's see um if he is dedicated to I guess because now he's letting us know what is actually wrong with him, or what he's suffering from, right? What he's dealing with. He's letting us know he never wanted to let us know before, but like like let's see if he's committed to making changes, and then we can look back and like, yo, nah, remember in 2026 he gave that apology, like, so this is gonna be like this could be a milestone moment, but I'm on the wait and see side right now. All right, wait and see. So, but what do you think, guys? Leave a comment below. That's a good topic, man. Good thing. Lot of insight though, a lot of insight. But definitely does seem since on the surface, it definitely seems sincere because again, like he was always reluctant to share anything with us about his mental health. So, all right. If anything, he would make it seem like it was an attack or people were trying to like take over his like he would say some wild stuff. He would say some wild stuff. All right. And then last headline, before we get into some of our other topics. Oh yeah, this crazy internet beef stuff. Actually, I got one more topic, but a crazy headline that just came across. It says it's about Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby admits he had seven Quaalude prescriptions to drug women. All right. So Bill Cosby admitted under oath that he repeatedly refilled Quaaludes prescribed by a gynecologist at a poker game, intending to give them to women in hopes of having sex. He said he never took the drugs himself. The admission came in sealed deposition tied to a lawsuit filed by accuser Donna Montsinger, according to newly obtained legal documents. Now, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. I don't even like the Bill Cosby thing after that kind of when some of these cases go on for so long and like the drama behind it goes on so long. But I don't know, man. He admitted to this, right? So it's more so like I don't know why people were celebrating him being free and making it like it was some witch hunt, right? Like this dude admitted that he was on some creepy stuff. You know what I mean? What yes, it was a different time. It was, but that don't mean that it was okay. Like you're not supposed to give just even on an ethical standpoint, if you have drugs prescribed to you, you're not supposed to just give them to people, right? And like Quaaludes, I mean, we just look at that like we look at that as just as a narcotic nowadays. But um, why would you think it's okay to give people or to sneak? And that's the thing. He wasn't just giving them to people. He was sneaking at time. He was sneaking these drugs so people could consume them. So like I don't know. I ain't trying to hear no like free bill type stuff. I know he's out. I know he's out, but like it makes you wonder like all that noise that people was making to kind of justify or to make it seem like, oh, these old women is tripping, like they wasn't, bro, like if you that's a whole different thing. It's one thing to be manipulated by words, and we could make fun of how dumb somebody is, right? For falling for some type of scheme. Like we could do that. And maybe you're partially right. It's a whole nother thing to like to drug somebody and have them be inebriated and like not have control of their whole body and for things to happen to them. Like we can't put that in, like it's not like he had game. He was doing that because maybe he knew he didn't have game. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Or maybe I don't know. I don't there's no justification for that, man. But that's crazy. Um, last kind of topic I would say is I gotta hold on, let me plug the charger in because I don't want to lose y'all. All right, last thing. It was announced that the Vince Staples show is being canceled after two short seasons. And the reaction is mixed. Some people are like really upset by that. I seen a lot of comments was just saying like, oh, y'all just didn't understand, or like, yo, that show was ahead of its time. But a lot of comments, like me, I left a comment. I said that shit was weak. That shit was weak. Yo, the first season was kind of cool. It was like kind of interesting because Vince is a likable dude. But like the first season didn't really make that much sense. But it was like I'm rocking with it. The second season, like just a couple episodes that I've seen so far, it was just like I was like, all right, man, like this is like this not it's not getting funnier. It's not getting funnier. It's not getting better. Um, yeah, some people's like the first season was good. I couldn't get past the first episode of the second season. Let's see some other comments. You gonna post the downfall, but not when it first aired. Nah, people did post when it first aired. That show was funny AF. I don't care what nobody say. No, that show was not that funny. I wanted to see it succeed. Second season started off way too slow though. Yeah. So a lot of people like there are people that, and it seems justified that like there are a lot of comments of people saying like, yeah, the second season I couldn't get down with it, or second season was weird, or second season was slow. So like it seems to be justified, but a lot of people describe it as like a poor man's ATL, like a poor man's Atlanta, and it kind of had that vibe to it. It felt like a linear story, but then it felt like there were some vignettes in there, kind of like ATL. But like I don't know, like not saying like stuff repeats itself. Like, and that's the thing. Like even with black entertainers and stuff like that, like we do criticize like when black entertainers kind of do something that's similar to something else, but like we see that in Hollywood all the time from major platforms, right? Where they kind of take an idea or take a concept or take like a genre and they kind of try to do their own thing, but kind of do it within a certain framework. And we don't bat an eye to it. So it's not the fact that it was like a poor man's ATL. It was just the fact that like it didn't feel like there was a punchline sometimes. You know what I mean? And most of us know Vince Staples for being he's very funny. Like even when he just has interviews and he's just talking to people, he's very funny. And he didn't necessarily show that in this show. It was just like it just seemed like things were just happening to him, as opposed to like him being like when he's talking and he's not even joking, but he's like talking and being humorous. It's active humor. This was like, if it was funny to some people, it was is a very passive form of humor where things were just happening in events, and it was like absurd and weird and off-putting maybe in some instances, but it wasn't like he wasn't like trying to be fun. Like I think we needed him to try to be funny. You know what I mean? And he wasn't trying to do that. He was just trying to make it seem like, oh, it was like ATL mixed with like Kirby Enthusiasm, but like it didn't hit the mark though. So but what you think, man? Do you think somebody else should kind of pick the show up and it should show up on a different platform? Nowadays, like you don't have a channel to go through, right? You got to go through a whole new streaming platform, especially if you're on Netflix. Hopefully, though, I mean, he we see him in the future. I actually want music from Vince Staples. Vince Staples makes great music. Um, but every artist got their own wave, man. They got their own timeline of when they want to do their thing. All right. See. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Moving on. Moving on. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay. I just making sure. Hopefully we're good. Because so I recorded an episode last time, and then I had something happen to the camera, or I wanted to make an adjustment. I paused it. And then when I came back and I was done, and everything, I noticed I only had like half of my episode. So hopefully we don't have any kind of difficulties. But like, yeah, my Zoom is being, it looks like it's being a little weird, but we should be good because it's all one continuous shot. We haven't really taken any breaks or anything like that. So all right. Let's move on to the next topic. Let's move on. All right. So, yeah, now we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty before we get into the football stuff and the mess. But internet beefs or debates gone too far. All right. So, that's I'm realizing, as much as people say people that maybe watch my content or have seen me online over the years have always said like I'm trying to debate something. And I'm like, I don't, yeah, I mean, maybe like small debates here and there, like, you know what I mean? Maybe small disagreements. Like people post things with, and they act like they don't, but they post things with the intention of getting a response, whether it is positive or negative. People get mad when the response is neither negative or positive, but it's just different. And people get, and when you have them question themselves, or you ask a question, people get upset by that. Like people get offended and they be like, oh, bro, why and they always try to frame what your question as to some type of attack, right? And I'm like, why would you ask me that? Like, what were you trying, what are you trying to say, right? Like, and it's just like, all right, bro, like you got it, man. I'll let you, I'll leave it alone, right? So I don't really think, I'm not really a internet debater as much as people think, because that the reason why I made a podcast, part of why I made a podcast, some people thought it'd be a good idea, but also it was because, fam, I would find myself like talking about a topic and like never really able to get my point across, because I don't know about you, but like I'm not a fan of like just nonstop typing, right? And like the times where I have, and I do sometimes, I when it's something offensive or something like that, or I feel like I got, sometimes I do feel like I gotta get my shit off. I gotta, I notice the energy, right? It becomes my sole focus, right? It becomes like the one thing I'm focusing on. And like there be the times when like your family is talking to you, your friends are talking to you, and like you're just absorbed and consuming, what I mean, like some type of post that you're replying to, and like people see it, and it looks like you're like, it looks like you're having an argument because you're typing so fast, and then you're making errors, and then you do all this to make some like long posts only for people to not really, either they only read what they want to read, or they don't even interpret what you say correctly, right? So like I don't be doing the internet beef stuff, right? Or debate stuff for real. I really don't. Even though it might seem like it, I might come off as argumentative or combative, whatever. I really don't be debating online. I hate it. I actually hate it. And one of my experiences too is like, it depends on what kind of content I release. So like I just made a post on, and it my stuff automatically goes to threads, right? And then like, all right, I was talking about the Bears, right? And I don't mind we can have a difference of opinion, right? You don't have to agree. I don't make stuff so everybody agrees with me, right? And yes, in some instances I like the engagement, but it's when people get like say crazy stuff to you, it's like I still don't know how to handle that. Like I still don't know how to handle it. Like so I'm talking about Caleb Williams, whatever. And some you get this stuff, oh, that's a terrible take. Like, yo, shit, stop making content. Like whatever. All right, I can deal with that. Like it's annoying though. It makes me want to say, shut your bitch ass up. You know what I mean? Like and that was my reaction to this one dude. And then he started talking crazy, whatever. But I had somebody else just start a comment like, eat a dick, suck a dick, nigga, like whatever. And I'm like, all right, bro. Like you're not about to talk to me crazy, but also I don't have much recourse because we are not going to see each other in real life, right? Because and mind you, it's never someone locally that's talking crazy to you online. Like, I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's never somebody crazy talking disrespectful. It's somebody you ain't never going to see in your life talking about some eat a dick, like whatever. And it's like, bruh, first off, I come from an era, and we're going to get into this. It's actually a perfect segue because we are talking about internet beefs and debates. But like I come from era like you don't invite a man to your private parts, you know what I mean, or anybody's private parts. And it's like, bro, if you disagree, then say something that disagrees with what I'm saying. But like just to be like, like that was your energy. Like you went onto the post and you said this, whatever. Or when people purposely don't like the stuff that you post, it's like you also could just scroll past it. Like you don't even gotta dig into it that much. Like you could, yeah, I mean, like it's not like I'm giving bad facts. It's just I'm giving a difference of opinion, and you don't have to watch it. I mean, there's so many things I don't watch. You know what I mean? Because it conflicts with my beliefs and things like that. So yeah, it's just I struggle with that, but I don't like the internet beef. I don't like the internet debate. However, um, this is a segue into like this is a crazy internet beef, and it's crazy because to be honest with you, I do probably need to start talking about YouTubers more because I watch a lot of YouTube and like I be knowing like when I talk about certain people and content creators, there's a lot of times people be like, "Nah, I never heard of him." Like I never even heard of that, and like you don't realize like sometimes like the YouTube itself it's its own ecosystem and stuff be happening in certain spaces that not everybody gets to see, right? You might see you sometimes it spills into social media and then people just getting highlight clips and stuff like that, but like there be some crazy stuff happening online, right? So some of y'all might know the comedian Corey Holcomb, right? Corey Holcomb he's not underground, but he's not like superstar status, right? Some people like, I would say racist black people like Jason Whitlock would say he's on the chitlin circuit, right? Um, I Jason Whitlock don't like Corey Holcomb. I like him. I remember seeing him on Last Comic Standing like years ago, but like apparently he's a mainstay. Like people in LA know him as a comedian. I think he might be originally from Chicago, but like people know him in the comedy scene, and like you could be a successful comedian without making movies, without even having a special on Netflix. Like you can have a name for yourself and be living. So Corey Holcomb has stature more so on YouTube. Like that's where his and he has a show called the 5150 podcast, right? Or 5150 show. So then he has a content creator by the name of Anton Daniels. So there's another guy that like people are gonna start learning about. I think he is kind of on an ascension right now, and more people are going to start hearing about him. If you know the content creator Keita Rose, right? She used to do a lot of stuff on Tonight's Conversation. Well, she used to collaborate with Anton too, because Anton used to be on Anton used to use he helped start this channel on YouTube called the Lapeef Network. And basically it would be like these panel style shows where like people are kind of like having like a debate on like social topics, but it was like all black people. So like Anton was like a mainstay on that. And that's the first time I ever seen him on the Lapeef Network. But then he would be a mainstay, but apparently he was on the production side of things, and they kind of split in like 2022, 23. He kind of split away from that, and then he started his own channel. So once Anton started his own channel, and then once the election cycle started ramping up, it became clear that even though, yeah, it became clear that he was a conservative, right? And then it became clear that he was definitely a Trump supporter, right? Which is kind of weird. Like a black man, this is a dark skinned brother too. Like, I mean, a black man being a Trump supporter, kind of making a lot of comments that like would denigrate the black community, all in the name of accountability, right? And that's the thing. Like people like even like Candace Owens, like they get credit for this. They get credit as, like where people they say some wild stuff that like clearly show some like morsels of self-hate. They get praised for that because like, well, did they lie? Did they tell them the truth though? And it's like, bro, let's have an honest conversation about what this person is saying, what they're talking about, and who their audience is. Like we got to mention who their audience is, and like why would they say certain things like this, right? Like because it doesn't come from a place of actually wanting to improve the community or to uplift black people. It's always a gotcha, and it's always a way to denigrate and discredit black people, right? So so Anton Daniels be kind of on that type of time. Like sometimes he talks about it's more neutral stuff. It's about money. And like you could tell that he gets to a bag and like he knows about business, or at least that's what he presents. Like it presents that like he's all about his paper and a broken clock is right twice a day. But like, yeah, if you are like you have some conservative values and things like that, you could align with him and he'd be straight. But like you got to pay attention because like there be times where it's like it comes off a way and it's like, bruh. And once he started going super political, I watch because this is the thing. I watch people on the other side and I realized he was on the other side, but I watch sometimes his content because I need to I be needing to know. I be needing to know the other perspective. And like some of the stuff is like it's neutral and it's like it makes sense, whatever. But then other times it's like, bruh, like really, like, and he don't hold as much as he makes it seem like he holds everybody accountable, bro. If it's anything, he don't. He looks at everything that like our president's done, like everything is good. Everything is good. He don't hold him accountable at all, right? So that makes people feel some type of way. So let's fast forward. He was invited to Corey Holcomb's show, right? So Corey Holcomb, right, and they started to have like a little bit of a debate about some topics and things like that. It's like they kind of filling each other out. Well, everything that I just said, right, about Anton being conservative and things like that, Corey Holcomb started to scrutinize him and started to ask him some questions about this, right? And he was framing it to like basically wanted Anton to kind of admit some things about his support, who he supports, and why he talks and denigrates and says bad things about black people, right? Like that's where Corey was going, right? And Anton wasn't answering the questions, right? So like Corey was asking him like, "Yo, like when do you hold white people accountable, right?" And then he's like, "I hold white people accountable all the time." And then he was mad specific. He said, "Yeah, white liberal women, I hold them accountable all the time." And then he was like, "Whoa." He said, "What about?" He said, "What about men?" He said, "What about white men?" And then Anton literally says, "I ain't getting into all that. I don't want to get into all that, whatever." So then it makes you feel like, okay, you must work for somebody. You must be, I mean, as independent as you say you are, you must work for somebody. You must be in somebody's pocket. Like you must be being influenced by something that is not allowing you to tell the truth right now, right? It's like it's not allowing you to tell the truth at all. Like you are not being honest with some of the things you're saying, right? So then he's asked Corey's trying to get it out of him, like just certain things, whatever. And then Corey goes, and this is, and I again, I can see how you take offense to this, but also where Anton takes it is uncalled for. So he's talking to him and he's like asking him questions. Anton's not really answering the questions, but then Corey just basically says, he's like, "Yo, you kissed the ass of white men, right?" So then, and he's like, "What?" I guess as a white man, well, you suck black people's whatever, like, and basically he's saying he sucks black people off, right? And specifically men, obviously, but like basically saying that. So like that is where you take a colloquial phrase like ass kissing, and then sucking D is not a colloquial phrase. Like everybody that I know takes that literally. It's not, there's no like, and I know a lot of kids say words now. They say words like glazing, which glazing is kind of like a connotation to the same type of thing. Um, and or like, oh, dick riding, dick eating, whatever. Like, nah, we don't like my generation, right? We don't play that. Like, we do not, like, you cannot say certain things like that, right? Like dick riding is still wild, but like that's like still like get off my jock. Like that's still not as crazy as like telling somebody to eat a dick or eat a D or you D eating whatever. Like it's not the same, right? So, but I know people my generation, we don't play that at all. Older people, I know definitely. Oh, people older than me definitely don't play that at all. So that's when shit hit the fan, right? And so Corey gets in his like Corey's on this. They're on the live show, live stream. Corey gets up out of his seat, right? There's a woman that's sitting in between them. She gets up and he sits next to Anton, and he's basically daring him to say it again, like, say I suck a D again, say I suck a D again, whatever. And like they're arguing, it's going back and forth. Anton doesn't say it necessarily, right? But then Anton pivots and is like, nah, like let's just go outside. Let's just go outside, right? And then some people, and then Corey is like, nah, like we're not going outside. Like say it, just say it. Like say I do that again, whatever. And then it seemed like they came to this point of like maybe like mutual respect. Anton did kind of walk off, but then he came back on. And then, so it became controversial, right? So that was the controversy. They didn't even get to really argue any actual points. It went left once from the beginning because Anton wasn't answering questions. So then, Corey made his statement, but then Anton took it to another level. And then it became this controversy and this debate, like who was scared, who didn't really want to smoke, like, and some people saying Corey Holcomb didn't want to smoke because he was like, yo, when Anton asked him to go outside, they didn't go outside. But then some people were saying that like Anton didn't want to smoke because when Corey got in his face, Anton did not repeat the phrase that he was warned not to say, right? And like in the streets in the hood, that kind of means more. Like that means more, like, to where I tell you to say something again and you don't say it, like I kind of won that, whatever. You could say let's go outside, but like, bro, 100 other things can happen in between us going outside to where like we don't even fight. So like, what's the point, right? So that was it, right? That was it. And it was like, afterwards, Corey was like doing comedy shows. He wasn't worried about it. So Anton spends like a week just like talking about the incident, and he's calling Corey dumb. He's talking about this, he's talking about that. One of the things though he kept saying was that how he would have beat Corey up. Like he keeps making this claim that he would have beat this guy up, right? So then finally Corey makes another show. Like he has another episode of his show and he addresses it. So now this is where again I think Anton took it too far, but then we're gonna see Corey Holcomb then took it even further, right? So as he's kind of giving a recap and talking about what Anton's been saying over the week, whatever, then Corey just out of left field, right? He puts a picture. Oh, because he said, yo, because Anton makes a lot of comments about the way people raise their kids. He talks about marriage, and like I said, like you can get some gems from Anton. This is a man who seems to be like, in a solid relationship, solid marriage. He takes care of his wife and his kid. And he don't have no kids out of wedlock and stuff like that. So like Corey hones in on that. And he says, oh, you talk about you don't got no kids out of wedlock. And then he puts a picture of this guy's daughter onto the screen, whatever. And it was like, nigga, what? And so immediately everybody's like, nah, bro, you wilding. And like he's criticizing her looks. You know what I mean? It's neither here nor there. I don't judge people's kids and what they look like, but she definitely looked more. She's an athlete, right? She's an aspiring Olympic swimmer, right? Like a prospective Olympic swimmer. And dark skin. She didn't look done up or anything like that. She did look kind of homely, I'll say, like just kind of whatever. But then like he puts her on the screen and talking about how ugly she is and talking about how she's gonna be a lesbian and things like he's saying some wild stuff. And then he even puts the guy's wife on the screen and basically saying like yo, shorty, like yo, leave this dude alone, like come mess with a real dude, whatever, and like puts her on the screen and like saying all this vulgar stuff about what he would do to his wife or what they could do together and stuff like that. And then so to me, it was like, wow, like that is too much. Like it already was too much when you invite another man to your parts. You know what I mean? Based off of like something I said that might have been slick, but it wasn't like offensive, like gut wrenching, like crazy. He went for the jugular, bro, and like tried to take Anton out. Well, he tried to take Corey out with that, and then Corey just ends it, and then now now it's like Anton's doing a lot of damage control right now. And it's just crazy. And it's just like, bro, it's never that serious, man. It's never worth it. I almost would have wished they just would have fought. Like at this point, like when it gets to this, when it's affecting other people and people's families, it's affecting other people's lives, and you don't even know, like, just on both sides, it gets crazy. It's like I know violence isn't the answer to solve a lot of conflicts, but like in that instance, it's like I would have rather seen somebody punch somebody in the face than to get somebody's kids dragged into it. And so it's just like, bro, be careful online, man. This online beef and stuff is never worth it. Um, Try to have debates, like if you're gonna have a debate with people and trust and love and yeah, I mean, or just have a mutual interest in somebody that you don't think is gonna call you out your name, because that's the thing. It's like, bro, it is just words, but at the end of the day, it's like it's words, but like it's publicized words, and that's what my thing with the internet debating be. It's like, bro, you're not about to disrespect me and I'm just gonna leave that comment on my screen, whatever. So yeah, I delete comments when you get offensive and crazy. Not disagreeing. When you get disrespectful, I delete comments, and yeah, I block people, whatever, because it's like we not about to. You obviously don't have a life, right? Like I put out some content, and then you got so much hate in your heart that you have, like, you wanna say anything to get a reaction out of the person without, instead of like saying something intelligent. You want to basically make people resort to their baser forms. You know what I mean? And you want to resort to like low ball, like sleazy tactics in terms of debating to get a reaction out of me, as opposed to then flexing your intellect. It's like, bro, I don't got no grab for you. I ain't got no time for you. I don't will debate over. So yeah, be careful, y'all, man. These internet streets is wicked, man. People do dox people, right? And that's what I'd be afraid of. Like people trying to expose like your real life and stuff like that, where you live, all that type of stuff. Like all that type of stuff is possible and capable. People are capable of those things. And so I would just say, man, be careful, man. Be careful who you deal with, who you talk to. But all right, moving on. Actually, and yeah, because we are going for a while now. The NFL stuff is gonna be the last thing we talk about today. So again, I'm skipping the mess, but that was messy as well. So that maybe that's the mess. That's not the mess I was talking about, but that's some mess. All right. But yeah, let's move on. So the NFL playoffs, we know, is the AFC and NFC championship games. So we see in the AFC, the Patriots are moving on to the Super Bowl. They win a game 10-7 to get into the Super Bowl. Weather and field conditions played a major factor in the outcome of the game. However, if the Broncos wanted to win, right, they would have scored more points earlier in the game and had a lead to where like it didn't affect them calling plays, right? Um, They tried to tie it with a field goal, and then their kicker, it looked like he just shanked it, but like you seen on the replay that it did get tipped. So basically a block, he got his field goal blocked. And yeah, man, the Patriots win it on like a naked bootleg. That's like the last run that Drake May had. It was like a play action fake bootleg, and to where he runs for the first down, and they are going to the Super Bowl. So in year two, they are going to the Super Bowl. I think this is Mike Vrabel's first season with the team. And Mike Vrabel, man, and we'll talk about who his mentor is, or but yeah, man, a product of winning, and it makes you kind of like shake your head at Tennessee for like, yo, y'all let this guy go, man. Like this guy's a great coach. Taking this Patriots team, who they have a lot of flaws actually to their team, but they did have the third easiest schedule. And they said I think they had the easiest schedule in the league this year, but they said this is like the third easiest schedule in like and since the 70s, right? Like, so they got some advantages. They got an advantage in this playoff game because the Broncos were playing out without their starting quarterback, playing with a backup, who hasn't started in 2 years. So it's like it's just tough. It's just tough. But the Patriots make it, and then the Seahawks were able to hold off the Rams. The Rams had a chance to take the lead going into the fourth quarter. There was basically like a red zone stand. The Rams get stopped at like the 6 yard line when they're trying to get it in, and then yeah, the Seahawks got the ball back and were able to kind of like all but almost like run the clock out. And the Rams, they do not get back to the Super Bowl. Either way, this was going to be with the Patriots winning, it was going to be a rematch of some sort. So this is a rematch of that the Malcolm Butler interception, right? This it's a rematch of that game when the Seahawks should have just ran the ball with Marshawn Lynch. But it also would have been a rematch of some sorts if the Rams would have went, because the Rams had played the Patriots twice in the Super Bowl, once under Sean McVay, and then the first time they played them in the Super Bowl was Tom Brady's first Super Bowl win when he beat the greatest show on turf. Right. So that was like the first of their like Super Bowl run back in the early 2000s. So it was gonna be a rematch either way. I think now I don't like the Seahawks. I guess I'm a root for the Seahawks stuff. Well, I don't know. No, let me save that because I know I'm gonna be on a podcast next week talking about the Super Bowl. So we'll see. We're not gonna talk about the Pro Bowl, even though it's crazy that Shador Sanders is a Pro Bowler. I think he should rescind his invitation, like if he's a real one, because he did not earn that. But yeah, man, we got our Super Bowl matchup, and it's crazy. In terms of coaching hirings, real quick, the Packers did hire the one of the coordinators that I wanted them to hire. So Jim Leonard was on the table, and he was the passing game coordinator for the Broncos. They said that we could not interview him until after Sunday's game. Well, Sunday in the afternoon, the Packers made a decision that they were going to hire former Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon. Gannon, though, he got the head coaching job because of his success as a D coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles, where he's had like a number one defense in the past. He was the coordinator when they had 70 sacks in one season, and I think that was a record. So Jonathan Gannon he has head coaching experience, and he does have experience getting to the Super Bowl, but also leading not they didn't win that Super Bowl, but leading a defense to like its highest level. So like I'm actually excited for that. That was the one that I wanted. Jim Leonard would have been a cool homer pick. It would have been cool because he's from Wisconsin. He coached at Wisconsin University for a little bit. And I think people, the locals definitely wanted him, but he doesn't have experience of being a DC in the NFL at the NFL level. Even though he has coached in the NFL for the last couple of years, he's never led his own defense. And it's just it might have been a change in some scheme, but I'm confident. Even though Jonathan Gannon didn't have the greatest defenses in Arizona, it is important to note though that he did not call the defensive plays when he was the head coach in Arizona. So like that defense maybe could have been better had he had more impact or more say so in what was going on. All right. Um, so that is that. And then last thing with the NFL, Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is found that he is not going to be a first. He did not make the final ballot. He is not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and that got people in an uproar because yes, Bill Belichick in the modern era, he is the greatest coach that I've ever seen in the modern era. Now, a lot of people want to give Tom Brady all that credit because Tom Brady was able to win a seventh Super Bowl without Bill Belichick. But like, no, I think that's crazy to say that because even in a lot of Brady's early Super Bowls, his early Super Bowl wins, he wasn't putting up crazy stats at all. Like they was winning with defense, and we know Belichick is a defensive-minded coach. They was winning with defense and special teams, right? Guys like Adam Vinatieri was like, knocking in, field goals and extra points to win a lot of those Super Bowls for Brady early on. I mean, we talking about like the first three, like, yeah, it was special teams and running game and things like that was winning them Super Bowl. Not necessarily Tom Brady passing it, but Tom Brady and their team, maybe because of the coaches that he brought in, that's when they offense started taking off, like especially like 2007 on is when until he leaves the Patriots, that's when they was like just lighting teams up with crazy offenses, right? But also to say like Bill Belichick didn't have an impact on that is kind of crazy. But he was left off the ballot. Bill Belichick has 8 Super Bowls, 6 as a head coach and 2 as a defensive coordinator for the Giants. And so probably one of the most decorated coaches ever. And it is crazy. It is crazy when you look at it and you see that he's not going to make it because first ballot means the first time you're eligible to be in the Hall of Fame, you get on it right away. That's our first ballot Hall of Famer. And I hate when people use that term and they don't even understand what it is. It's like, no, that they're not a first ballot Hall of Famer. It took them like 3, 4 tries. So, but it's interesting that he's not on there. But and people were like, "How is that possible? How's that possible?" Well, I tell you why it's possible. I'll tell you why it's possible. It's possible because Bill Belichick has 2 heavily documented cheating scandals in the NFL, right? In the NFL, he has Spygate, right, where they were allegedly stealing calls from teams and things like that, recording, doing all this crazy stuff. And for people to say that wasn't a big deal, the NFL reprimanded them. I remember they lost a first round draft pick and they got fined, and Brady was suspended for like 6 to 8 games. I remember going into that final. 'Cause I remember when Matt Castle was he how long was Brady was he out that whole season? Like Brady got suspended for a whole season to where a guy like Matt Castle was and I think he might have got hurt as well. But so like to say that that wasn't a big deal, like they got in trouble. They lost money and they lost draft picks because of that. So that was a big deal. And then the whole Deflategate, which I actually forget what the consequence of Deflategate was, but some people feel that like so you need 80% of the vote. So you need 40 out of 50 people to say that like no, yeah, you deserve it. And he didn't get enough votes, and people are just feeling like yeah, there was they feel that it's the voters who a lot of them are like sports writers. The voters are like making him serve penance, basically like kind of like a get back, for his involvement in Spygate and Deflategate. Um, and some people also say like maybe because he didn't have the greatest relationship with the media. Some people were feeling like no, they're gonna make him wait a year, right? But it is crazy because and because the MLB has a problem with this as well. Guys are not getting into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame because of like the smallest things. It's it's a lot easier to make the NFL Hall of Fame than the Baseball Hall of Fame. Like Baseball Hall of Fame, bro, they are stubborn, bro. And they will not let you in the Hall of Fame for nothing. Um, so it feels a little bit like that. the basketball Hall of Fame is the easiest Hall of Fame to make, right? Because you could just be great in college and like, yeah, I mean, you could do great in the Olympics and international basketball, and you make it. So like, it's definitely the easiest. You could just go based off college ball. So yeah, but it's kind of crazy, but we'll see. We'll see. Some of the finalists, I did kind of look it up real quick because I was like, who are the finalists? Okay, some of the finalists for this year's Hall of Fame. 10 finalists came from the class of 2025. 4 first-year eligible players among uh candidates will consider for insurance. Okay, so Willie Anderson, he was a great offensive tackle for the Bengals for most of his career, and then he ended his career with the Ravens. Drew Brees, this is the Drew Brees year. Drew Brees is up for Hall of Fame. He'll make it. First ballot Hall of Famer. Um, Jari Evans, he was like one of Drew Brees' like main tackles for like pretty much the whole time that he was there from '06 to 2016. He did play 1 year with the Packers, but so yeah, he'll likely make it. Larry Fitzgerald is up this year. Frank Gore is up this year. Torrey Holt has been up for a couple years. He's been overlooked. I think it's Torrey Holt. Torrey Holt needs to make it. Like Isaac Bruce made it a couple years ago. Torrey Holt needs to make it. Luke Kuechly, this is like actually his second year of eligibility. Um, so hopefully Luke Kuechly makes it. Eli Manning, this is not his. This is his second year eligibility too. Terrell Suggs is like his third year. Yeah, it's like his second or third year. I think it's time for him to make it. Adam Vinatieri, Reggie Wayne. I know people look at that name as like he's not that good. No, Reggie Wayne was a beast, man. Reggie Wayne, I think he deserves it too. Kevin Williams, who's a defensive tackle. He's more of a like a legacy player. He like because he retired after 2015, so he should have been eligible. Jason Witten, because Jason Witten came back. This is his first year of eligibility. Darren Woodson's still not in the Hall of Fame. And then Marshall Yanda, who's a guard or tackle. He's also eligible. But yeah, man. So we'll see. It shows like how many times these people have been a finalist. Torrey Holt has been a finalist 7 times. It's time for him to make it. Willie Anderson, put him in already. Yes, but it's a couple first timers like Fitzgerald, Frank Gore, Drew Brees, Kevin Williams, and Jason Witten. This is their first time being finalists. So we'll see. We'll see who makes it. But Bill Belichick was left off that list. He was left off that list, and it's controversial to some people. But what do you think about this week's episode, man? What do you think about this week's episode? We kind of switched it up today. Last week was all football. We talked about football. We talked about AI. We talked about internet beef, right? This crazy beef. You gotta look it up yourself, man. Corey Holcomb versus Anton Daniels. All that content based on that stuff is still up. Corey Holcomb now, I mean, his reputation is being tarnished a little bit more, but it's based on his own actions. He was wilding out, and you'll read into that. We talked about Kanye West. We talked about Kanye West and his open letter to his apology letter to black people. What else did we get into? It's the AI, this drama, AI in society, getting jobs. I talked about my fitness tracking. And we talked about Vince Staples' show getting canceled. All right, so again, I did want to talk about a rapper, but yeah, we going a little bit over time today, so hopefully we'll get into that maybe next week. It'll be, like I said, it'll be old, but it's still interesting. I think maybe we can have a deeper dive though. I mean, the more time that we take away from this topic. But I appreciate you, man. If you're still watching, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell for notifications so you can stay up to date with what we got going on the 280 Plus podcast, y'all. Make sure you leave a comment, share the content, right? This is episode 221 of the 280 Plus podcast. I'm your host, Steph, and I'm out, y'all.